Hi, this is lesson 30, and it's interpreting pictures of fractions, decimals, and percents. When we do work like this, a lot of the examples that we're going to be taking a look at are pretty common ones. They're going to be ones where if you take if you see a picture of something, they're either going to be fractions, decimals, or percents that are common enough where you kind of know when just by looking at them what they are. I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean as we kind of scroll through these slides. Let's take a look at our learning targets for today, though. Naming a fraction of a shape or group that is shaded, naming a percent of a shape or group that is shaded, or identifying coin combinations as percents of a dollar. So we'll be doing some of that work too. Fractions. So just to review, taking a look at this picture here, this circle is divided into 6 equal parts. One of those parts is shaded. So we would say, in this case, that 1/6 is shaded. 1 out of 6 sections of the circle here is shaded. Percents. Percents are another way to describe parts of a whole. A whole is always considered 100%. Half of a whole then would be 50%. So this is a lot of writing. I typically really don't like this much writing in math. It gets overwhelming. Just looking at these two rectangles here, it's pretty easy to see this first rectangle right here, 100% of it is shaded. If we were talking in terms of percents, right here, it's pretty visible that 50% is shaded. Moving on to talking about parts of a dollar. Thinking about cents as parts of a dollar help us understand decimals and percents. Half of a dollar would be 50 cents. Half of a dollar is 50 cents. 1/4 of a dollar, if we were to divide it into 4, would be 25 cents or 25 cents. Looking at this, if you were to get rid of the dollar sign, you can see that 1/4 of 100 or 1/4 of a dollar, it would be 25 hundredths, or if you didn't read this the right way, it would say like 0.25 or 25 hundredths. So that's what the decimal part of 1/4 would look like. Breaking it out even further, 1/10. If we were to divide this dollar into tens or divide 100 into tens, we end up with 1/10, or 10 hundredths or 0.10, 10 cents. Let's take a look at this example here. I'm going to zoom out a bit. What fraction of this group of circles is shaded? I would tell you to pause this video, but really I'm just going to jump right into solving this. First of all, what fraction, they're asking us what fraction, be really mindful in this lesson. What are they asking me to do? What type of answer are they looking for? Because we're talking about 3 different things. What fraction? Well, let's go ahead and get our fraction set up. First of all, your denominator always comes from the number of objects there are in total. So when we're looking at this number of circles, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the numerator comes from what they're specifically asking about. So in this case, they're specifically asking which ones are shaded. And we can see 1, 2, 3 of them are shaded. 3/5 is the fraction we're at right now. We always stop and ask ourselves, can we reduce this fraction? The answer is no. Those are both prime numbers. 3/5 are shaded. Here's another example. What fraction of this circle is not shaded? So taking a look at this circle now. What fraction is not shaded, and then what decimal part is shaded? So let's just consider that first question. What fraction of this circle is not shaded? Well, when I look down here, first of all, I can see that this circle is divided into fourths. There are 4 quadrants or 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what fraction is not shaded? Well, 1, 2, 3 parts. 3/4 is not shaded. I can't reduce that fraction. 3 is a prime number. Okay, next part of the question, what decimal part is shaded? So remembering back when we were working with that dollar, pretty soon, the more work you do with fractions and decimals and percents, you'll start to identify, first of all, to back up, we said 3/4 was not shaded. That means that 1/4 is shaded. That's pretty quick and easy to see. 1/4 of this circle is shaded. You'll start to identify 1/4 with the decimal 0.25 or 25 hundredths. And I just happen to know that off the top of my head. If we're talking about what decimal is shaded, we're talking about 25 hundredths. And again, I'm actually just going to scroll right up to that page where we were talking about the dollar. 1/4 of a dollar is 25 cents. If we were to get rid of that dollar sign, we're talking about 25 hundredths, or 25 out of 100. Okay, so taking a look at this example now, what percent of this square is shaded? So now we're talking about, we stop and ask, what are they asking? We're talking about percents. What percent of this square is shaded? At first glance, I can see about half of it is shaded, but they're not asking a fraction. I'm not going to say the word half. When I'm looking at about half of something, but they're asking about a percent, we're going to say 50%. And that's because anytime with percents, that didn't turn out very well, but work with me. Anytime we're talking about percents, we're talking about something out of 100. 50 is half of 100. So that's where that 50% comes from. What decimal part is shaded? So now we're talking about a decimal out of a whole. The way to write this as a decimal, 50% isn't shaded, 50% is shaded. 50 hundredths. Or with decimal numbers, the more advanced way to write them is not ever with a 0 on the end, ever. So really, this is a more appropriate way to write this, 5/10. Okay. One more example here. 3/4 plus a dime is what percent of a dollar? So first of all, let's just stop and think of what amount of money that would be. 3/4, so 3/4 would be 75 cents plus a dime. 75 cents plus 10 more cents brings us, of course, to 85 cents. 85 cents is what percent of a dollar? Well, what percent of a dollar? So I want my answer in percent form. Lucky for us, anytime we're talking about percents, we're talking about a number out of 100. Lucky in this case, a dollar is 100 cents. So they're very similar things. If 85 cents of a dollar ends up being 85% of a dollar. 85 cents is 85% of a dollar because they're both $1, and anytime we're doing percents, we're talking about something out of 100. So 85%. So just stopping right there, just to throw another verbal example out there for you. If this is true, if 85 cents is 85% of a dollar, then what would 27 cents be? What percent of a dollar would 27 cents be? 27%. What percent of a dollar would 71 cents be? Well, it would be 71% of a dollar. That's it for our examples for today. Couple different types of examples dealing with percents, fractions, and decimals, but you'll see the more that you move on in your math, those three things really tie in together. And it's important to get comfortable with working with all three things because you'll come to a point in your math where there will be multiple ways of solving problems, and whatever one that you feel most comfortable with, you can go that route. And it'll save you a lot of time and math work, time and energy if you have a method you're quite comfortable with.